the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the Business of Esports. To the boardroom. This is the Business of Esports Podcast. I am Paul the Prophet Dawalibi. I'm joined today by my friend and co-host, the Honorable Judge Jimmy Baratta. For those of you who are new here, welcome to the official podcast of esports. What we do is we cover the most pressing gaming and esports topics and news of the week, but we look at all of it through a business and C-suite lens. We dissect, we analyze the business implications of everything happening in this industry. For our regular listeners, thank you guys for tuning in every week. Thank you for all the love. I see so many 5-star ratings and reviews. I read them all, I promise. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go hit subscribe on the podcast, follow the podcast, share it with a friend, leave a review if you love the show. It helps others to find it. We really appreciate it. Jimmy, how you doing this week?
Having a great week, Paul. I can't believe it's already Wednesday recording day for us, but we made it. How about yourself? How are you doing?
Time flies when you're having fun, right, Jen?
One way to look at it.
One way to look at it. No, I've been good. I've been following, I will say this. Most people probably know by now that I've moved to Dubai. I've moved to Dubai permanently. Obviously, a lot of the team's still in New York and you're in Los Angeles. So you're very, very global business at this point. But it's funny because I've received such a large amount of inbound interest from people in this region, right? Like people in Saudi Arabia, people in Dubai. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but the Prophet is famous everywhere. I mean, I don't know how else to say it other than getting stopped at the airport. It's nice to see that people listen to the show here. And the stats back it up, right? 60, I think we're up to almost 70 countries now where the show is consumed. Either the show's consumed or we're like tops in the esports charts. And so it's nice. It's always nice when people, moving here, people recognize the show, people like the show. I'm always flattered. I'm always humbled by it.
It is nice, and all from an English only distribution at this point. If you prefer your content in other languages, just stay tuned because I don't want to give too much from what's up our sleeves, but I think we want to create content for everybody to enjoy and content that supports different regions and different interests, because esports and gaming at large is a global phenomenon, not just North American or Western only. And I wanted to add too, Paul, to that same point about being recognized and having people that are reaching out. Similarly, when I take calls, the show is something that it's one of many things that we do, and we definitely appreciate so many of you that listen, that email, that call and want to share insights, that want to do something, in a business capacity. But I'm just totally blown away whenever someone says, oh yeah, I don't just listen to the podcast. I watch the live news show. I follow William's office hours. I subscribe to the newsletter. We put so much content on so many different platforms because some people prefer to listen, some people prefer to read, some people prefer YouTube, et cetera. We all have our preferences. And whenever I meet someone that literally consumes all of it, it's the highest compliment, honestly. And just wanted to say, we definitely appreciate you guys. So if you are one of those listeners that you've been waiting to reach out or just never thought to, we're super available. Just shoot me an email. Would love to talk, figure out what you guys are doing, how we can help. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, and since we're doing a self-congratulatory intro, as opposed to just I don't know how to say it, bleeping all over Diablo Immortal or something like that. Instead of doing that, I just want to say two things actually. One, if you are in the GCC region, you're in Dubai, you're in Riyadh, you're wherever, right? If you're in the region and you want to talk gaming or metaverse or anything, definitely reach out to me. Want to meet as many people here as possible. I will be speaking at a bunch of conferences in the region. Like I'm already booked for conferences in the next few weeks and in October and November. So lots of opportunity to meet and to interact, which would be great. And Jimmy, I just want to say congrats to you and the team, because a lot of people should be following our TikTok, Metaverse TV _. Every week we have at least 2 or 3 TikToks that blow up, go viral, hundreds of thousands of views, and you guys are killing it there. And I'm just so proud of it. So everyone should go follow the TikTok. I promise it's not me dancing. No one wants to see that, but it is a lot of fun. So congrats on that. Now, I will say I don't want to spend too much time doing self-congratulations here, because we have maybe the only person on the podcast. And we've had the biggest CEOs, we've had the biggest executives in all of game, but maybe the person on the podcast more famous than the prophet himself, or at least better looking than the prophet himself, because that's also a tough one. But we have a man who has achieved the status I admire, when you're known by one name only. It's like Madonna or Cher, or like when it's one name, you don't even need a last name. You're just that famous. The man is a streamer. He's a bodybuilder. He's an entertainer. He's my favorite person on Twitch. This is a man everyone absolutely should be following. A man I admire very much. None other than Knut. Knut, welcome to the Business of Esports Podcast.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for a great introduction.
It's well deserved, Knut. Well deserved.
Comparing me to Madonna and Cher, that's big.
Well, you are known as Knut, right? I know there's a last name. I was afraid to butcher it.
Well, we can try if you want to.
Let's do it. What is it? Let's hear it.
Okay, do you want, I have 2 last names, my mother's and my father's. I'm not using my mother's, but if you want to have an even harder task, we can try both.
Well, Jimmy's going to be the one trying, so let's make it as hard as possible.
I thought I was the judge.
Okay, we can, my full name is Knut Spildrejorde. 3 names.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
I don't want to insult you, Knut. I just feel
I would feel
my tongue doesn't move in those directions.
But I use Spildrejorde as a last name. That's it. Knut Spildrejorde.
Look, I know people on the internet know you as Knut, and you are famous as Knut. And this is the best part. I mean, it's you do some incredible IRL streams. You do a whole bunch of bodybuilding streams. I know you do all kinds of gaming content. I think for our audience that doesn't maybe know about you, would love a little bit of your background, how you got into gaming, how you got into streaming, what made you do this. I would love a little bit of the story.
We can try to do a fast summary, because it's a long story. Because I'm one of the older guys on the internet at this point. I'm 36. I'm not young anymore. Sorry, Paul, if you're older, but that wasn't an insult.
Thank you. I am older, but yes.
It was not meant as an insult. This was just because it's a lot of, in the age range, maybe 16 to 25, maybe. A lot of the guys that is streaming, that is up and coming gamers, they're in that age range. So at 36, you're one of the older guys. That's fine. So I started out from a young age playing games. We got a computer. It was probably a Pentium 1 back in the times. I don't even remember what year it was. Some single player games. It was a little bit of Quake, then all the way up till Counter-Strike 1.3 when I tried that. It took over my life back in the days. It ruined the school and everything, the standard. And it was thousands of hours until I moved from home, and I didn't have a gaming computer. So it's for about almost 10 years, from plus minus a few years. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't play any games up till closer to 30. Then I got myself a gaming computer again. Started with some Battlefield, and then Counter-Strike Go, Global Offense. And I don't remember how I got into Twitch exactly, but it was probably just watching some of the bigger tournaments. someone said, yeah, you should try streaming. That was an idea. So I didn't even know what that was because I hadn't been watching many streams. I was a bit late into the whole thing. 2014, 15, so it's maybe not that late, but it had already been going on for some years. So in the beginning, it was just me playing CSGO, camera in the corner, nothing more. Didn't interact much with chat, just talked to my friends. It was in Norwegian. It was just for fun. Nothing more. That's how it started. After a while, there was some people having like this smaller podcasts in Norwegian, which they invited me on, and we talked a little bit. And at one point, one of my friends said, there's this American streamer, Raj Patel, which now is known as Austin Show. You should go on to his stream. And I think my channel at that point had like 1,200, 1,300 followers, something in that range. And this was in the middle of the night in Norway, so I said to his admins, could you just get me on a bit before the others because it's really late, so I can't wait for hours. Because at that point, he took the audience into his stream all the time. And when I got on, like, his channel had maybe 1,500 viewers at that point. And when I was finished, it had, because he were holding me on for a long time, I think it had like 2,500 viewers. So it gained a lot at that time. And I think he saw that as well. So invited me on the next day to come on. And I did, and it was successful again. And remember, if you think my English is bad now, you should have heard it then, but I hadn't even been speaking English in years. Like, in Norway, we listen to English all the time on TV, but we don't really use the language that much. At least we didn't before. It's more now when it's even more social media, more YouTube, more TikTok, everything.
Was that part of the humor, though, Knut? Right? Like, was that part of what you think was drawing people? That you were a little bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger looking character with, a heavy accent kind of thing? Like, was that?
I think that made people remember who I was, at least. So it's still a part of the character. It's still a big part of the character, the accent and everything. So it ended up just me and some of the other guys there. We were on the show every day almost, just in the background while he was doing other stuff, because there was a lot of people involved. And my channel grew in 2 days. It had over doubled the amount of followers to over 3,000 just overnight after those 2 times. And it just continued, and I changed my content from Norwegian and just CSGO to doing more, implemented a bit of training, doing more of streams with me, more than just sitting gaming. And from this was in 2018, in the beginning of 2018. And from that, it has just like slowly evolved into more and more different types of content. It has been steady growth up to, it's still growing steady, so I'm happy with that.
Knut, I will say you do consistently a lot of working out on your stream, right? Almost every day you go to the gym and it's broadcast live on your stream. Yes. I will just, before I get into the tough questions here, I will say on a personal note, I find it fantastic because when I work, I always have Twitch open. I love you and I love your stream, so I always have your stream open, typically when I'm working and doing email. And I feel like I'm doing my workout for the day. I feel like I don't need to go to the gym, right? Knut's here doing a bunch of working out. I've got a sandwich. I've got email. I'm like, no, my workout's done. Knut has
done it for me today as well.
But I'm joking. But I also feel like part of the magic of your IRL streams is you take the audience in the chat with you, right? You take your like everyone feels like they're there with you. And so I joke, but it's like I kind of feel like I'm at the gym with you, or I'm at the grocery store with you, or I'm where, you know. I'm curious how much of that is conscious on your part, how much of it has just come naturally over the years, like, and maybe expand that question to like how much of Knut that you see on Twitch is a character and how much of it is just authentically you.
I can start with the first question on how much of this just came naturally. And I think all of that has just come naturally. Because when I was at the TwitchCon, they handed me a backpack, a company that was there. And I just started walking around talking to people like normal. And for some reason, it has always been really easy for me to like get in contact with people. People talk to me. I can have a conversation with basically everyone. So that has just felt like totally naturally to me. And maybe like, of course, you're looking a little bit at numbers as well. What works on Twitch? What doesn't work after doing it for a while? But it isn't like the content has been forced. It has never been forced, like, oh, no, I have to do this again. It has been like just something I do anyway. I bring chat. And okay, they love to see this part. Well, we can do it more. That's more how it has become like that. What was the last question?
How much of the Knut that you bring on camera, on stream, is the real Knut, like and how much of it is a character?
I would say it is 100% the real Knut. Of course, when you're watching maybe a video and you reacted, you wouldn't sit and react out loud when you're sitting at home. If you're sitting alone, you would probably just think whatever you're saying on stream. So a bit, you have to deliver the message to the audience at least, instead of just sitting there thinking it. That's maybe the difference. But other than that, I feel like it's I'm myself all the time. There's maybe a few things you can say on stream you shouldn't be saying on stream that you will avoid, but other than that, it's basically me.
I know, Knut, we're going to get into growing your audience and other things that you're doing that relate to an audience that, I mean, you have a massive following on Twitch and other socials. I just want a little further conversation on the streams where you go work out, particularly when you first started doing that, because for me, you're absolutely ruining my excuse. There's no reason why I can't be fit and a gamer, because you're doing all of it. The first time you took your stream to go work out with you, what was the thought process there? Because this is really non-traditional content. We see a lot of just chatting. We see a lot of people that are streaming games or that are hanging out. And as Paul mentioned, you're kind of showing them more about your life. What was the reason for that? What other things, maybe cooking or other life kind of moments, do you look to share with your audience, or that your fans expect from you? It's a brilliant thing, and I'm just curious why that popped in your mind, because obviously you found success in it. Just looking for the inspiration.
I don't remember exactly when I did the first IRL stream, but from like I've been doing bodybuilding since I've lifted weight since I was 13, did my first bodybuilding show when I was 21 years old. So when I started streaming, of course, it was a lot of the audience were asking questions. They were like, what do you do? And I think we had tested just some streams from a phone, because I didn't have that much equipment back then, but you don't need more than a phone to go outside and stream. So if I remember correct, it was more, okay, I'll take you to the gym as well. We can go there. We can stream the workout so you can see what I'm actually doing. It wasn't more thoughts about it behind it than just simple thoughts. Like you can see what I'm doing.
So it sounds like it was a request from your audience, that they were interested in, they saw this. And for our listeners, because I know a lot of you are listening, I would recommend pausing, go to YouTube, go to the website. This guy is absolutely jacked. And I can imagine at the early stages of Twitch, right, where, like you said, this is one, just streaming is a novelty, let alone someone that's so fit as yourself and that's combining these two worlds. So would you say that this was a request of your audience or something where they were interested not just in you in CSGO, but in your life, and you said, well, hey, I'll show you how it's done?
Yes, it was because obviously to succeed on the internet, I think a lot of it is like you have to be remembered for something. When someone sees you, they see maybe thousands of people all the time. And obviously when they see me, they remember the accent, they remember maybe how I look. So it came really natural, like questions about training, what are you doing when you're lifting, what do you eat, and everything around that aspect of bodybuilding or fitness. So it just fell naturally.
Knut is also famous for being the biggest vegan bodybuilder. I think. No, I'm just kidding. The man eats a lot of chicken. I will say, what has worked and not worked? You mentioned, you had tried some things that worked and some that didn't work as well. As you were growing your channel, like what are things you can look back on and say, these were really good for my growth, and these things are things that I probably wouldn't try again?
There's nothing that has been really bad. But what people love the most is seeing me just go out in public, especially if it's places that I haven't seen before. Like I was in Costa Rica once, just a trip there, and we just went out in the streets, and people were coming up talking like that. That was really good for the audience. Going to conventions. That has been like the biggest things has been when I go outside. Just normal.
Sorry, Jimmy, go ahead. You wanted to jump in here.
I wanted to jump in on this same line because, Knut, when you're out in Costa Rica or when you're doing the IRL streams, as opposed to growing an audience maybe on something like YouTube or Instagram or TikTok where it's pre-recorded, and this is a conversation you and I have had before, but we're recording here, and I want to share for the audience your thoughts, I suppose, on the difference that you see engaging with your audience on Twitch in real time versus recording something, editing it, posting it for later, which obviously could reach a larger audience that can watch at their leisure. But there's something special about you being live, whether it's in the gym, Costa Rica, streaming a video game. Can you speak to the success that you've had actually growing a live audience, which is a very difficult thing to do?
Yes, we have talked about it, as you're saying. And I think my main platform is Twitch, as we have mentioned. And I think that on Twitch, this is something I've seen with my channel, and I think I've seen it on other channels. Like the Twitch audience, they like some form of interaction between, because they're sitting there live, they expect it to be live. They're sitting, they have a chat, they're talking to each other, but they're also talking to you, and they want you to communicate with them. So when we're doing both IRL streams or sitting at home, I think for growing a live audience, it has been for me, and as I said, I think it's for others as well, it's important to have a two-way communication, not only you walking around just doing something, but also you include the chat or the people that are watching in your content. Of course, to different degrees, it depends on what you're doing, but of some form.
We had tips from OTK on the show a few months ago, and he said something which I thought was very insightful, and I've thought about it a lot since he said it. And what he said was, Twitch is a great place to monetize your audience, but it's not a great place to grow your audience. Like that growth is better on TikTok than it is on Twitch, and you want to bring your audience to Twitch to monetize, not to grow there. Yep. And when I hear your story, it sounds like one of those key moments in the success of your own channel was being featured by a channel that was bigger than you at the time, right? By
Correct.
Austin Show / Rash Patel. And a lot of people on Twitch still become big today because of Austin's shows.
Yes.
Right? That's still a way that people get noticed. Would you say that success on Twitch today is impossible without that? Like, can someone grow from zero today on Twitch, even if they're the most interactive, the greatest, they do everything right, but if they don't get sort of hosted or noticed by some bigger channel, do you think it's impossible to grow from zero on Twitch?
Well, we should never use the word impossible, but I think it's almost impossible to start from zero. You don't have a name on the internet. No one knows who you are. You can be the most entertaining person, but no one will see you ever. Or if someone will see you, it will take years and years and years to get 10 people to, or no, maybe not years to take 10 people, but to grow an audience alone on Twitch, no networking, no exposure, no nothing. That's close to impossible.
So would you say networking is critical to success on Twitch these days? Like, do you if I'm new, right, and I'm starting today on Twitch and my channel has 0 people, like is riding sort of the success of other channels a key sort of component of growing?
Well, it doesn't need to be a raid. It can just be you being on someone else's stream and they can notice you there. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a raid. Like, as I said, for me, it took 1 day to grow the same audience that I did in 3 years alone when I went on that show. And then because I've been more lucky than just being on his show. I've been with Trainwreck. We were at TwitchCon and BlizzCon, and I've been with on S-Fan. It has been Soda Poppin, Greek God X. Like, all of them has helped me up there. So there's a bunch of,
like, part of it is your own work ethic. Like, this is what I'm trying to tease, because I think this is the question people ask a lot when it comes to streaming, right? Everyone, I mean, in some ways you have the dream job, right? At least to most people. You know, you're at home, you play games, you talk to chat, and you get paid to do this, right? For a lot of people, this is the dream. And so this is why you have, 50,000 people on Twitch streaming right now with 0 viewers, right? Everyone wants to be the next Knut. Everyone wants to be the next whoever, right? I'm trying to tease sort of the keys to success, and what it sounds like is part of it is luck, like in any other entertainment industry, right? Yes. Where you need to be noticed, you need to partner and network and do those right things. But it's also, like, I think people maybe forget, and correct me if I'm wrong, forget that you've been streaming like 8 years now, right? Like, it didn't happen in 2 days.
No, it didn't happen in 2 days. That's for sure. Like, the networking part, when we talked about that, is just the exposure that I got. We have to remember the hours I've put in. And not only that, there's a lot of people that have gotten exposure from the bigger channel and nothing happens. So there has to be something there in the beginning, and you have to do the job as well. Like, if you have seen my numbers, I stream on average 250 to 300 hours a month. Like, I'm putting in the hours as well. Like, but when I gave the answer with the exposure, that was just up on all the work you have to do yourself. So of course you have to do all of that. But when it comes to what Tip said about growing audiences, it's way easier to get exposure on your profile or on other platforms than Twitch. Like, algorithms on TikTok will show your videos to thousands of people. Probably the same on YouTube, Instagram, compared to Twitch. Well, if you have 0 viewers, you're on the bottom of a list. So there will be no one even seeing your channel. So I will say it's a combination of everything. But if you're growing it alone on Twitch, it is really hard, even though you're doing all the work. You're the entertainer. You're a good entertainer. but it will still be close to impossible.
In the same line of thinking, Knut, we haven't talked also about the help that streamers receive from sponsors and other partners. I'm curious, for you as someone that's had various sponsorship that constantly has people giving them free gear, headsets, T-shirts, offering you deals, affiliate deals, and whatnot. What type of support do you look for from companies that you work with, not just networking with individuals in growth, but hardware manufacturers, headset and microphone, companies, things of that nature. Do you look just for the equipment, or do you look for connections to their other sponsored streamers, access to events that they do, promotion on their socials, things of that nature?
As it has been from the beginning, when you were even smaller than when you were like, when you have the smaller audience, you have to take a bit more of the sponsorship. Yeah, you have to take a bit more of the deals that you don't need to take when you're a bit bigger. So for me, in the beginning, I was reaching out myself to different companies, and MSI responded positive. They have sent me to events like DreamHack multiple times. They have helped me out with computer equipment. They have helped me out with reaching out to other companies, because I had to contact people there that knew people in other brands. As for now, when I'm growing a bit bigger, I would say I hope I can get a little bit more than just a computer. Like, at this point, you will hope that you can get some sort of maybe revenue from doing sponsorships. Because what is like a headset for a brand, that's really cheap advertising. If you have 10,000, 20,000 people stopping by seeing it every day, that's really cheap advertising for them if you sit for hours every day. So I think that depends a little bit on your size, on what kind of sponsorship and what you can like ask back to get back for, because let's be real, every company that sponsors, they want advertisement for their products. That's why they're using us, streamers and content creators.
As someone who's made a living on Twitch, I'm curious how you feel about the direction Twitch is going. We talk about this a lot on the podcast, and Twitch is increasly less and less gaming. And we don't need to go into sort of every meta
category.
but like, how do you feel about the direction of the platform? And as a streamer, as an entertainer who makes a living there, are you ever concerned about the direction of the platform? Like, are you ever worried that that all your eggs are sort of in that basket?
First of all, if it comes to the direction Twitch is going, I feel like getting a broader type of content, I think that's just good for everyone. It should be a really bad type of content if it should hurt my stream. But in general, pulling in more people watching Twitch will only benefit me as a streamer. Like, I don't see any problems there. People are discussing like categories like hot tubs, pools. I don't think that will hurt my audience, even if some people think that's a bad thing. Personally, I've noticed nothing. Nothing bad, at least, only that it's still growing. And that might be because new people get into Twitch through different type of content, and then they're watching, and then they're scrolling a little bit more, and they see my name. Maybe I'll get a few viewers that came into something totally unrelated to my content. So I'm not complaining about that at all. What was the other thing? That was other platforms.
How much do you think about diversifying sort of where you create content, right?
I have been thinking about it for a long time. Like, I have a YouTube channel, I have a TikTok account, I have Instagram, I have Twitter. I need to be better at growing all of them because from the beginning it was mainly Twitch only because that's where the biggest part of the audience was. And when you're putting this much time into Twitch, it's hard to do other types of content. But over time, I've been like, we're trying to grow on TikTok, but now I've gotten sat down these last days actually getting a YouTube editor that will take care of the YouTube channel, because one day you never know, maybe Twitch will be, no one will watch Twitch and they will all go over to watch YouTube live as well. It's nice to already have a YouTube channel with some subscribers on. So I think it's smart for everyone to utilize every platform there is almost, because you never know when the platform you're on isn't popular anymore, and suddenly you're sitting there with as you said, all the eggs in one basket and you have nothing.
I mean, what do you think of some of the big Twitch streamers going to YouTube, right? Is that a statement more about Twitch? Do you think it's just about the money? Like, how do you look at that? And I'm curious how you would react, if YouTube came and said, here's a bag of money, come stream on our platform instead, right? Like, what seems to have happened is everyone who's made the move, their audience has dropped, but they've all been paid, it seems, quite handsomely.
I would say I didn't understand what Ninja and Shroud were doing when they went over to Microsoft's platform Mixer.
Yeah,
because that was an obvious mistake from the beginning, other than the money, of course. After what I've heard, they got paid really well, so and they were already set pretty good. So if in worst case they could retire anyway. But when it comes to platforms like YouTube, which has an insane audience, that would be more interesting for myself as well, of course, if I got an offer. But I don't think they're doing any mistakes. I think that, to be honest, I think most of them are doing it because of the money. That's my secure money. Because something I'm always looking at is, okay, you're making a good living right now, but compare this to having a more normal job. You have no security at all, so you need to think about your future. You can sit there and stream and have a few years of a good income, but you should think about the years after as well, because you never know. So I fully understand why people are thinking about the money bag if someone offers them. And I would most likely take that myself, to be honest.
I mean, Knut, that's such a good question. And especially, I mean, you're not old, and because if you're old, then I'm really old. But like, so you're very young, but relative to other streamers, right, who are maybe in their early 20s, you're the more mature guy in the room. And so, like, how do you think about streaming as a long-term career, right? Like, do you want to be doing this at 50, at 60? Like, is this something you do till retirement age? Is this something you do for the next few years? And then if it's just the next few years, what's next, right? Like, where do streamers go in the same way? Like, where do bodybuilders go after their prime, or athletes go after they retire, right? Like, where do streamers go in your mind?
That's a really good question. And to answer the first thing, as it is right now, I see no reason to stop. Like, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy putting in the hours. What I see for my future is maybe cut a little bit down on the hours to more like normal job hours would be nice. But other than that, I see no reason why I couldn't do this for years. And I think since, like, if you take my age, your age, around our age, we're like we're the grown-ups right now in the community, and the audience were young when we started gaming, which is probably as the same age as us. They are growing up as well, and I think they will grow up with the streamers. of course, the audience will change. But I think there will be, like, the average age of street content creators in general will just go up every year as the newer audience comes in. People will still watch Twitch when they're 50. That's how I see it now, at least.
Do you feel like your audience has aged over the last 7 years?
Yes. And this is something we have talked about on my stream a lot of times. What's the age group watching me compared to a younger streamer? And I think my audience will be a bit older compared to a lot of other audience. Of course, you have the young kids there as well. But I think I have more of the guys my age, 30 to 40, maybe 45 years old, compared to a streamer which is 20 years old. Even though they're bigger streamers.
That's good from an advertiser and sponsor standpoint, right? It's the same reason why I think we do well at Business of Esports is because our audience trends older. They have more disposable income. They're professionals, right? Like, I'm curious how much that factors into how you talk to sponsors specifically.
I haven't talked enough to sponsors to give you a good answer on that one. But I can say, like, Twitch doesn't have any statistics on how old the viewership is. But if you go to YouTube or to Instagram, they have graphs, because people, when they make their profile, they're putting in their age, their gender. And my audience, I have just as many viewers from 25 to 35 as I have from 18 to 25. So there's almost 50-50 on those two age groups. So I have a lot of audience that is up to 35 as well.
Do you think, as the audience and as all of us continue to age up, that there's going to be a continued need for the live content? Because that's so surprising that your audience mirrors each other from those two age demographics. I would wrongfully assume that the older demographics are busy working, to sometimes spend a lot of time watching live content as opposed to, anything that they can do on demand. So I'm curious, not just from your audience that you're actually seeing, even the older age groups are interacting with you live and they're coming regularly live, but also you, as Paul asked earlier, as you start to think about streaming 10, 15 years from now, retirement age potentially, do you think as you continue to stream, there will be a larger need or a shift towards creating produced and scheduled content where you don't have to at least be live recording? You can share some reruns. You can go do something high quality and take a break a little bit from being 100% on, ready, live, which I think has a higher burden, for you.
Yeah. I first of all, I want to say I think we need both. For sure, we need both. And there's no doubt that the viewership in total on pre-produced content, which is when they can watch whenever they want, is higher than live. Like, if you compare YouTube posted videos compared to live streams, they get way more viewership in total. So there's no doubt. But I think there's a lot of people that is using this for entertainment, as you said, Paul. When you're doing emails, when you're working, when you're doing other things, I know, like, it's hard to generalize a full audience of thousands of people what they're doing while you're watching. But I can at least take trends from those who are responding in chat, for those who are typing, telling me what they're doing. And I know a lot of my audience is watching me while they're working. Some are watching me at work, and then maybe a little bit when they come home from work, and in between everything they're doing. So, and I don't think people will have less time off work in the future. It seems to be a trend that people are working less and less hours. So I think there still will be a big audience for live content. That's at least
I think people massively underestimate that second screen kind of viewing for Twitch. Like, yes. I really believe there's a very, very large percentage of people who consume Twitch in that way, whether it's a second monitor or a phone or whatever, while they're doing something else. And I will say, like, I love your streams, Knut, right? Like, I'm a huge fan. I tune in all the time.
Thank you.
I would be far less likely to watch a Knut rerun, right? Because I think so much of the magic of what you do is because it's live and it's, the chat's reaction to something you've done or to a TTS or like to something, and when it's happening live, there's a magic to it that I think isn't the same in rerun.
I 100% agree with you, because it's that you get the aspect of what's happening next, and you can't just scroll to the next moment. You have to be there. Will it happen or something? Will it not? Will there be anything? Will the other viewers react the same way you do? Will it be something funny said there? Like there's so much that has to be live for it to be fun on that type of content.
I want to just riff off this a little bit. Like, how much do you think you need to lean on drama these days? Like, I think one of the trends I've seen is streamers always trying to get on live stream fails, right? Like, that's the goal, right? It's how do I get a clip onto Reddit that goes viral, because this is how people, discover me. And everyone, even small streamers who I've never heard of, seem to want to try and create drama because that's how they think they hack their way to the top. Like, how much consciously does drama and creating drama sort of factor in your mind, or is it something you don't even think about?
Of course, I've thought about it, but personally, I try to avoid being the drama or being in the drama. At least we have watched some of other people's drama on my stream and have a look at it. I don't think it's necessary to do or to farm drama content to be up there. But of course, drama content has its viewership, there's no doubt. But I can give you an example. I don't remember exactly what the drama was, but there was a few days where on live stream fails, it was this streamer and that streamer. It was just a big drama between them. And someone posted a clip from my stream, Knut just driving. All the drama happens on Twitch and Knut is out driving. It was just a clip from the car and it goes up to top almost. So there is an example, and you can do other things as well.
And I think this is what I love about you is you don't necessarily fall for the cheap gimmick, right? You're not there for the sort of the cheap short term boost. No. You always just do your own thing. I'm curious, and I want to, before I get to everyone's favorite new segment, I want to end on, I think, a question that everyone wants me to ask, and that is, like, if you're a new streamer, or you're a streamer with 0 viewers or 5 viewers or 10 viewers on Twitch, like, what's the best advice you would give to those people?
I think that's what we talked about a bit earlier when it comes to platforms. It's get whatever platform you're using, if it's Twitch, or try to get your name out there. You need to be seen from as many people as possible. Whether it's you doing TikTok on the side, it's YouTube, maybe streaming to multiple platforms at the same time. So you get your name out there. It isn't about what microphone you use or what camera you have, or those things are down the list of what I think you should be doing. You should think about a little bit about what could work, like, and as content related, of course, and getting your name out there so people can see you, because you need to be seen. I think that's the biggest things.
It's great advice, and look, it's the massive amount of hours you put in. I think, and it's hard to. I think people gloss over that and think that it just happens easily, or it's just luck, and forget that you're online all the time.
You can add in, don't expect it to happen overnight. That could be added in as well. Yeah. You need to work on all those aspects.
Knut, that brings us to everyone's favorite new segment, and that is Judge Jimmy's cross-examination. For those of you who are new to the podcast, the way it works is Jimmy's going to ask a few rapid-fire questions, get to know you better as a gamer, as a streamer, as a person, get behind the scenes a little bit. They're fast, short questions. I'm sorry I don't have my bell here, but usually there's a bell in between. Judge Jimmy, take it away.
We'll make do. Thanks, Knut. So like Paul said, couple quick questions, quick answers. Proper timing since you're pouring yourself a drink here. What's your go-to drink or snack when you're streaming?
Pepsi Max. That's number one drink in Norway. We drink almost all the Pepsi Max produced in the world here in Norway. So it's number one. No doubt.
What about for your favorite snack? We'll do that as a spin-off. What are you typically eating? We need some health tips here, Knut. Snacking on Cheetos.
I'm trying to just follow my diet all the time, but it isn't always easy. Since I have a family, I can't always stream the kitchen. They need some privacy as well. I can't include them in everything. So if we're talking about on a daily, I try to just pre-make all my meals, so I have them ready, following the bodybuilding diet. If I'm not doing that, well, it can be whatever. When it comes to more sweets, I eat more chips, potato chips. I try to stay away.
Look, as someone who watches Knut stream religiously, the man eats a lot of broccoli, rice, and chicken.
Too much.
An insane amount. I thought for the drink you were going to say Solo Super again, as a super fan.
Yeah, but yeah, you know about the Solo Super. That's the thing is, Paul. We have in Norway. There's a drink or a brand called Solo. It's a bit similar to Fanta, but I think it tastes better, especially the sugar-free one. That's the best one. Normally, it's really expensive. It'd be like for 1.5 liters. It's like $3 per bottle. But every Easter and after that, it's like a discount. And then it gets more down to normal prices. Then that period of time, we only drink Solo Super.
We need to get you a Solo Super sponsorship deal, I think.
Yes,
at that point in time.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy, go ahead.
No, coming up next, definitely. Let's shift gears here, Knut. Besides yourself, besides our fandom of you, who do you like to watch on Twitch? What streamers do you admire, do you respect for their brand and their personalities?
There's a lot. First of all, there's a lot of people I respect, and I think they have good brands. But we have to realize not all content, even though it's good content, is meant for everyone. But people that I watch a lot myself, I think, is Trainwreck when he isn't gambling. That's my favorite streamer because I can't watch slot spinning for 30 hours straight. That's not my type of content. But his other content I really enjoy. I've watched some Destiny. He recently moved over to YouTube because he was banned of Twitch, but I like to watch him a bit. Some Miskiff, though. Those are probably the three I watch the most myself. No, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to talk over you there. In the same line of thinking, I'll end it with one more question, Knut, which is not just your favorite streamers, but what right now is your favorite game to stream or watch?
Right now, Apex Legends.
Nice.
I love the game. I'm not that good. We're getting shit on in gold ranks, but I love the game, so I don't care about.
Maybe Paul can help you out there. I'm told he's quite excellent.
Yeah, I'm willing to take all the carrying I can get. No, but I've been lucky to play with a lot of really good Apex players as well, and it's fun. And I can play with my girlfriend, plays the game a little bit, and we mix it up. It's just fun. I like the game. Other than that, there has been Counter-Strike, Go. Those are the top two.
Solid answers, Knut. Two great at first-person shooters. Yes. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. So thanks for coming on, and back to Paul.
Knut, for our audience who wants to follow you, find out more about you, keep track of what you're up to? Like, where can people follow you? What platforms? What places?
They can find me on almost every platform. On Twitch, it is just Knut. On YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, it's Knut Spild in one word. I can type it to you so you can have it there. It's just the first part of my last name, Knut Spild, on all of those because Knut wasn't available.
And a lot of our audience are business people, like for business inquiries, companies that maybe want to get in touch. How do they usually find you?
They can use my email, which is also knutspild@protonmail.com. Is that easy?
Very cool.
And
that's KNUTSPILD.
Yes, correct.
Perfect. Knut, I can't tell you how much of a pleasure this was having you on. I rarely fanboy over anybody. Like I said, we've had the biggest names in the industry, the biggest CEOs. This was such a pleasure. This was such a treat for me. I'm such a fan of yours. I think everyone needs to be watching you. I think you are the most entertaining human being on Twitch right now. Every brand should be working with you. And I can't say enough good things about your content and what you're doing there. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the compliments. I have to add that in before you finish. It's really nice of you to say that. And I hope we can do some collabs in the future.
I think I don't want to say too much because we like teasing things on this show, but I think people should keep an eye out on what Knut's up to because there are some big things coming, and hopefully we can do something together. So I think people should be following you and should be following us and paying attention to what's coming up. I will say just a bit of housekeeping. Guys, if you haven't yet, share the podcast with a friend. Go follow us on all of our social channels. You can find Business of Esports everywhere, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitch even, on LinkedIn, you name it. It's Biz Esports or Business of Esports everywhere. We really appreciate it. Also, don't forget, we're doing our weekly news show at a new time now. It's at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're testing this out. We want to reach more time zones. And so this week, although it will have passed by the time you hear this, but this week it's at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. So really hope you guys tune in for that every week. And always don't forget, guys, the most important thing, the future is fun. We'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.